Hello, I'm Adam. Welcome to Access Creative Writing. Just a quick heads up. The best thing to do is to watch the presentation, take in the information, and then play it back from the beginning and have some materials ready, pen or paper or a separate computer with a Word document, whatever you decide. But as I say, best thing to do, watch the presentation and then be prepared and know when to pause and what activities lay ahead. I promise it's nothing too difficult, no pressure.
I keep running out of ideas. Very common. Something that all creative people have to deal with, I would imagine. And sometimes you just have to change the way that you're thinking about idea generation, because feeling like your head's empty and that you haven't got any inspiration leads on to being stressed and other types of unhelpful feelings that then lead to you creating barriers that stop you from continuing on your writing journey. So today we're going to explore how to deal with that feeling or that period of time when you may not have any fresh ideas, but there is a way around it. It was all going so well. You wrote loads. It was almost easy. You were on a roll, and then bang, you hit a brick wall and you had no idea how to deal with it. And so, because you weren't taught and you haven't been to university, you haven't studied writing and what it takes to continue, more than likely what happens is that people put it away and they find a million excuses why they didn't continue or why they shouldn't continue. And then the usual suspects appear: doubt, stress, and then defeat. And then that piece of work that you started most definitely gets put well away in a file, in a Microsoft document somewhere way out the way where you're not going to look at it anymore. Or that pad ends up being a pad that's used for the shopping list instead. And the funny thing about the mind and the three usual suspects and how they infiltrate our thinking is that you begin to attack yourself. And it's because you haven't learned how to deal with the situation. Because you're picking up the pen, you're opening your document, you've got this feeling inside you, you've got this story that you want to tell, and then you realise that it's maybe not quite as simple as what you thought it was going to be, which is understandable, of course. But after a while, defeat does tend to set in, and that's because the mind is very powerful and it likes to remind us all the time of our little failures as well as successes, of course, but the failures always seem to be a lot stronger. But again, I'm going to keep coming back to these same phrases, the same understanding. There is no quick fixes. You have done amazing to get as far as you have already, and you're brave enough to even attempt to write, put yourself out there. So just keep reminding yourself, be kind. But you're here, this is a creative writing course, you've come for guidance. And I just want you to think that maybe consider the possibility that you were quitting just before striking gold. You were just on the edge of a breakthrough. You know, have you ever heard that phrase that things get difficult just before real change comes in? And it's like that for many different parts of our lives. And maybe that you were just there and it got a little bit scary. Maybe you was enjoying it too much. And on one side of the wall is all the emotional stuff, the doubt, and the usual suspects. And there's you, battered and tired, stressed because you don't know what to do and how to move forward with the project. And on the other side is just that little bit of knowledge. Just that little bit of knowledge that will just help you get through. I want you to try and think of it this way. For most of us, creativity comes in waves, sort of. In week one, it's pure inspiration. It's been coming and been knocking at the door for a long time in your heart, in your mind, whatever, however you want to see it. And then you sit down to write, you sit down to perform this piece of work that has been going on in your mind and your subconscious. And it is fantastic. Week one, week two, absolutely amazing. It's almost like this is easy. And then for whatever reason, week two comes and there's nothing. There's nothing. You don't know how to take it forward. And when creative ideas are lacking, you can generate new ones. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I want you to grab a piece of paper and split it into 3. Write down everything positive about the beginning of a piece you are currently working on. Maybe from another module that you have done, an activity that you have done with Access Creative Writing. Write down everything positive about the beginning of that piece you are currently working on and put it in section 1. And then also in there, write down any improvements that you think would benefit the piece. And then repeat with the next sections what you liked and areas for improvement in the middle and the end. However you want to perceive middle and end. It doesn't have to have been the actual ending, of course. This is just an idea for you to be able to look at your work. And of course, if there is anyone out there who claims to not have a beginning, middle and end, then don't worry, this next piece is for you. I'm sure you can find something about it. Instead of writing about those previous things, I want you to focus section 1 about the narrator's voice. Is it clear who is speaking to the reader? Is the voice engaging? Are you staying in the correct tense? Something which is very easily to slip out of. And then in the section 2, take notes, make suggestions. How can it be improved? How can you write them better? This is about characters. Are your characters well defined? Is the dialogue believable? Have you overwritten their interactions? And by that, what I mean is, are you writing their dialogue out as if you were speaking in perfect English? Which, of course, most people do not. But that would depend on what your character is and their motivations and their personality, of course. So you will have to address that yourself. Take notes. Make suggestions on how to improve. How can you write the scenes better? Can you add more sensory detail? Where are your characters and what is happening to them in that moment? Are you bored reading it yourself? Is funny funny? Am I supposed to be scared? How am I feeling as a reader? And are you feeling any of that yourself as a reader of your own work? Is there more sensory detail that you can add to these scenes? These are, of course, things that we will go into greater detail as the course goes forward. But right now, this is just about you using your common sense and what knowledge that you have about the world and about what you've experienced yourself and what you've read and what you know is right. When you get a bit of time now, look through all the notes you have produced, whether you wrote a lot or just a few key sentences. Either way, you now have a brand new direction, something to work with, something that you didn't have 10 minutes ago. If you were looking at your page, at your work, at the writing, you didn't know where to go, you felt a bit stuck. Now, through the act of working through those details that have now been added and been recognised, the inspiration does come. It begins to flow again, because you're working through a really important part of the work of the craft of writing. It's not all inspiration. It would be pretty amazing if we found creative inspiration each and every time we sat down to write. That would, I don't even know whether that would be amazing, to be honest, because you have to put the work in, the editing and the redrafting and working through the text and the prose is an art itself. Sometimes it feels like hard work, because it is, but you can always change your perception and adjust expectation. There's always something you can do to keep focused and get back on track.
So there you are. Congratulations. Another module completed. How was it for you? I hope you found a way to tap into your creativity by understanding the value of going back through your work. And basically, this is just a little taste of what's to come when it comes down to understanding editing and redrafting, and the importance of self-criticism and feedback from other people, and then how you take that and you put that into your work. Because eventually what you learn that there's a pattern within your work, within your writing, that probably gets highlighted quite regularly, and you tend to maybe make the same mistakes, or you write in a particular way which then you have to edit out. It could just be something to do with overusing the word that, something that people use all the time, but it's not necessary within your writing, because a comma will do the same thing. But anyway, you're doing fantastic. I hope it's going well, and look forward to seeing you and hearing back from you about how you're getting on. And we'll see you at the next module.